Everyone, I hope you are having a slayful day. My name is Flick and you're listening to Hard Hats and Heels recorded at FlexiDesk Sunshine Coast. Hello everyone, I hope you are having a slayful day, obviously. So again, this is, you're not going to get a Friday knockoff because this episode is recorded ahead of time, sadly. But this week's episode is why women need to stop competing. If you listened to my podcast a couple of weeks ago with mates in construction, me and Torway, if she's listening to this, I'm so sorry. But we chatted about the fact that you feel like you're competing against other girls in the industry. And I feel like so many girls in this industry are going to understand what I mean when I get into this. And if you're somebody who's not in the industry, hopefully I can paint a good picture on what I mean by this. But it's something I want to, talk about. And I'm not trying to play the blame game here. I'm not trying to say, oh, I don't do this, you need to be better, rah, rah, rah. That's not what I'm doing. This conversation is to really, bring awareness to about it. Because a lot of the times I feel like some people, women, don't understand that they're doing it. Because I feel like I've done it in the past and I haven't understood that I'm doing it. But we need to, fuck off the mindset that, there's not room for all of us. So we're going to jump into it and and I think it comes from the fact that there's only the mindset that there's only room for one woman, which if we want to beat these prehistoric ideas that women belong in the kitchen and we want this to be, a 50-50 field of men and women, we need to get past the mindset that, that's only room for one woman. And a lot of the time I think it comes from being that token female. You want to be the one the boys like. You want to be one of the boys. You want to be, the one that's most respected, the ones the boys like, oh yeah, she works hard. You want to be that. But you can be that without, taking that away from another woman who is also that. You can both be, the best. You can both be really respected. You can both be really hard workers. It doesn't have to be one or the other. And I think a lot of the time, you're almost pinned against each other. That I hear all the time on a job site, they're like, oh, well, such and such, she works so hard, she's a workhorse. And I'm like, okay, but that doesn't take away from me as a person and me in my roles and me in my strengths. Just because one woman is a really good operator and I'm not, doesn't mean that she's better than me, because that woman might not be the best leader and I'm a good leader. So, it's about finding the fact that everyone has their strengths and weaknesses and we don't need to compare ourselves against another woman in this industry. There's room for everyone. It's the mindset that takes us from, building us as a team to building us into a team to, pitting us against each other. Because how can we work as a team if we're always frictioning against each other? It's kind of like magnets almost. We've got one can be a positive, one can be a negative, and that's when they're going to, work as a team. But you can't both be, freaking have this real big ego-filled fucking personality where it's not going to work. You're just going to clash and you're not going to be able to be a team in that mindset, if anyone gets where I'm going from. All right, so first we're going to jump into a real life experience of how I personal experiences I have dealt with. First and foremost, a little while ago, I had a news article about me. I'm sure a lot of people saw it in Sunshine Coast Daily. Obviously, I live in the Sunshine Coast. There's a girl I know who is in the industry and basically tore me apart in the comments. Why? For God knows what the reason, because I'm out here trying to build women up into this industry and, trying to tear another woman down. And I feel like it comes from the fact that women are pitted against each other. And now I'm not blaming her. I'm not saying, rah, 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 she shouldn't have done this. This isn't me trying to call her out. This is me trying to paint you a picture that women are pitted against each other in this industry to, be the best. And everyone wants to be one of the boys. And, sometimes women feel like you have to act like a boy and tear other women down to, get their respect. And that's just not how it should be. I know as a woman in this industry, there is no way in this world I'm going to let another man disrespect a woman in front of me without me saying anything. I'm going to be the most, I inspire women I speak about on this podcast that I inspire women into this industry. That means that I'm going to back you the whole way through. That means that, I'm going to clap for you when nobody else is clapping, when the boys think that, you don't deserve to be clapped for. I'm going to be your freaking cheerleader. And I think that's how you need to be as a woman in this industry. And 9 times out of 10, I'm not seeing it. Some of the women I've worked with in the industry, I worked with a girl in my last company, and bless her soul, was my freaking cheerleader. Like, wanted to see me win. When I did well at things, she wanted to see me succeed. When I was put in leadership positions, she listened and, wanted to see me really win. And women like that is what we need. We need people that are going to inspire and support, because when we're backing each other, we are so much freaking stronger than when, we, want to be one of those boys and picking on another girl, just to fucking get the approval of one male on site. It's a load of shit, if you ask me. And there's just no way you could catch me doing it as the woman I am now. Now, I'm not saying that when I was a first year trainee, I'm not saying I didn't do this. I probably did. And I probably saw a lot of women as other competition, but you don't need to. You really just need to grow and realize that there's room for more than one of you. It's such a wild concept to have, but you really just need to understand that there's room for more than one, and you've just really got to push with that. So I've just given you 2 examples. One of where a woman, didn't back me, and, she was just trying to seek approval from other men. That's the way I think about it. Or B, jealousy, which is such a load of BS in my opinion, because there's no reason to be jealous of another person. You can achieve whatever goals you want to achieve. You've just got to work for it. I think jealousy is such a weird concept, because what do you mean you're jealous of someone because they worked hard and got into positions and have done things for themselves? You could have been in those same positions, you just have chosen not to work hard. And it's a hard truth, but it is the truth at the end of the day. If you are jealous of someone and what they've got, maybe you should just work a little harder and you could get there too. With the exception that I know sometimes people are born into things, but for me personally, I think being jealous of me or being negative around me is wild, because I've literally worked hard for everything that I've received and achieved in my life. So, and to that girl, I literally want to see her win. So it's wild that, another woman doesn't want to see another woman win. Where's the girls vibes? And then I've shared you a story where I've had someone who literally was my biggest cheerleader, clapped for me when no one else was clapping for me, and, wanted to see me win. Now, both very different sides of the scale, but, if we want to see an industry where women are supported in this industry, we definitely need to be clapping for other women. I think it is a given that we should be another woman's biggest cheerleader. I know when there's a girl getting into this job, I am their cheerleader. I want to see them succeed. I want to see them be the best. I want to see them be better than me, because I want to see them succeed. It's such a wild concept to me. And so now we're going to talk about why it hurts coming from another woman. So for me personally, I think it's because I know that, I know how hard it is every day. And if you were in this industry, if you were another woman in this industry, you would know how hard it is too. So why in the world, if we know how hard it is being a woman in this industry, why would you want to make it harder for someone? Why wouldn't you want to support them? Why wouldn't you want to be a cheerleader for them? Why wouldn't you want to clap for them? Answer me that, riddle me that. So I think it's just something to think about, the fact that if next time you're going to, maybe not be as supportive as you could be, think about, how would you feel if this was you? How would you feel if this was your little sister? How would you feel if this was your best friend? You'd want to support them in every aspect of their life, so why can you not support that random girl on site? And, I think it really comes down to it, that we just need to be supporting another woman on site. And it hurts more because they know where you are, where you're at, how it feels. Why would you want to contribute to that? What's the go? So when another woman tears us down, it cuts deeper than when another man tears us down, because that man doesn't know where we are. That man doesn't understand what our bodies go through once a month. That man doesn't understand what it's like to be a woman in a male-dominated industry, but you do, and you're tearing another woman down. What's the go? And again, this isn't about, playing the blame game and pointing fingers. This is about, calling to action. And if we don't call to action and I don't talk about these hard things on this podcast, then what's it really for? if I'm just here being like, yay, women, but I'm not telling you my thoughts on why and my tips and tricks on how we can be yay women, then what kind of fucking person am I? It's really just about, reinforcing the it reinforces the same shit that we are trying to rise above. We are trying to rise above the fact that women don't belong in this industry. Then we need to rise above the fact that there can only be one woman in this industry. And I feel like this is something that doesn't get spoken about a lot. And that's why I'm talking about it, is the fact that people want to be that token girl. You can't be a token girl if you don't want it to be a male-dominated industry anymore. What is the literal go? So how do we change this culture? How do we attack this? What do we do? Lead by example. I say this time and time again that, leading by example is so much more powerful, and you don't have to be in a supervisor position to lead by example. Call people out on their bullshit. If you see another girl picking on another girl, call them out on it, and call them out on it in front of people. Be like, oh, well, that's actually, I'm so surprised you'd say that. Wow, that's really wild coming out of your mouth as a girl in this industry. Call them out on it, because I can guarantee you, A, they don't even know they're doing it. It's just natural. And I understand that it's hard. Or B, they're going to be like, oh, I didn't think she was going to call me out on that. And then they can't speak like that to you anymore. We need to rise above it. We need to start talking about it. We need to be, calling people out on it. And we need to be leading by example. That's the only way we're going to rise above something like this. And we need to be clapping when other women succeed. I would stand there and clap alone in front of fucking 10,000 men if it meant that I was supporting another woman in this industry who's doing well. I would stand and clap alone for you if I could see that you were a woman doing well and you deserved that recognition. And I think every woman should be like that. And I think there's a little bit of fear in it, fear that, the men are going to pick on you for it, or the men aren't going to, support you for it. But who the hell cares what they think? Because this isn't just their world anymore, it's our world. And we're going to make this industry that isn't a male-dominated field anymore, it's going to be 50-50. And the only way we can do that is by talking about these sort of things and rising above the bullshit. And that's the only way that I can really, think about this. This is such a short, sweet episode, I feel, but it's one that I really want you to, time and time again, think back to. The other thing is normalize giving compliments. I am the biggest, oh my God, you did so well, slay girl, pop-off queen, literally everyone, not just women. But we need to normalize giving compliments to women too. And it doesn't just have to happen when a man compliments a girl. Be like, oh, you did a good job. You could be like, oh, yeah. You could be like, oh, you actually slayed that. You did such a good job. And, give compliments in girly ways. Who the hell cares? You can tell someone they did a good job. Like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. I can't wait to see you succeed. The amount of women that I have had lift me up in my role and be like, oh my God, slay queen, you did such a good job when I announced that I got a new job. I think that's so good, but is that going to extend onto a job site? If you're on a job site and there's only two girls, are you going to be that woman that supports the other woman, or are you going to be the woman that wants to, well, I want to be the best, so I can't compliment her, I can't lift her up? What's your choice going to be? Because I've been on a job site where there's only two women and I want to see them climb the ladder, and I will help them up before me. And that's what it is, if there's a wall, you can only put one person up first. I want to put the other person up first, and I know that the women that we have in this industry, they need to be the type of women that are going to help me up to. And I think that's such a nice way to put it, and such a real way to put it. Stay in your lane. What's meant for you is always going to be meant for you, regardless of if there's another woman in this industry or not. Whatever's meant for you is going to be meant for you. No one can take that away from you. No one can stop it. The universe has a plan that's higher than all of us. So, if it's meant for you, there's nothing to say that another woman can't, achieve that role. And if another woman on site got the role that you wanted, you should be clapping for her, because that obviously just wasn't meant for you that right now in the season of your life that you're in, because everything happens for a reason. So if you didn't land that role, there's a reason why. Maybe you weren't ready. Maybe there's another door. When one door closes, another one opens. I think that's just something to think about. We're not stronger. We are stronger together. We're stronger when we don't stand alone. When we stand together, we are so much stronger, and they're stronger in numbers. Women in the trading industry, women in mining, women in construction, women in male-dominated fields need to stand together, because when we stand together, we are stronger. We can create these conversations, and it's easier to be a woman in this industry when there's people around you supporting you, and especially from other women. I know that when a woman compliments me or, supports me in my role, I know that it comes from such a place of the fact she understands where I'm at. And I know when I support another woman, it's because I see where they're at and I understand what it is like to be there. And I want to remind them that I think they're doing such a good job. So I'd love to hear, though, if you guys understand where I'm coming from. If this is something that not a lot of women feel, then okay, maybe I just yapped about this for nothing. But I know that I've felt this, and I've spoken to other women that I know have felt this. So I really hope that this resonates with a few of you. And if it does, I want to hear about it. Like, I want to know, is there a time when someone didn't support you? I want to know if there was a time when someone did support you. I really, really would love to hear about it. But thank you so much for listening to me today. It was a very short and sweet episode, but yeah, those are just my thoughts on it. And I hope you guys have a slayful rest of your week, and remember to, clap for women, even if that means that you're clapping alone. Thank you.